Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar by myself, the Wild Dandelion Studio. My name is Siobhan, and today we're going to be talking about finding your inner artist and what that all means. So, I'll give you a brief introduction to myself, my story, why I'm doing this today. So, I'm Siobhan and I am the founder of Wild Dandelion Studio. Um, and I'm not really big into labels, but I know it helps us yeah, to, uh, to see our passions and our interests. So in general, it took me a very long time to say, but I am definitely an artist. And I also work with energy and I feel frequencies and I work with sound and I do regular sound baths. I'm also an intuitive guide. I use my body quite a lot to feel and sense into things as well. But of course, to me, the most important part is that I am human as everyone else. I have strengths, I have weaknesses, and I'm just trying to navigate this reality as best I can in a way that brings through my unique blend of codes and soul essence. So, yeah, it took me a really long time to find my voice, especially. And even the thought of doing something like this was very overwhelming to me. It took me a very long time to speak my truth and to be able to share that with others in the ways that I'm doing now. And also to develop confidence in sharing my work. So, my art that I create, the podcasts that I do, I had many attempts to express those things and to share them in a more public way. And through each time I did that, I learned a bit more about myself, but I also could feel and sense this safety that I was looking for in order to express myself. And so I had to move through a lot of fear in order to get to where I am right now, and also to trust in the gifts that I have to bring them forward. And that's still, still a work in progress. Some days I feel really confident, know what I'm doing, and then a few days later I might feel that self-doubt sort of creep back in. And it's just all about being present and witnessing those things that come up and asking yourself questions about why you potentially don't share your expression, why you don't feel confident in certain aspects, and to give yourself grace and compassion for that too. So it's a process, it's a journey. So why are you here today? What is it that you felt drawn to listening to this webinar? And have you felt disconnected from your creativity or your voice? And why do you think that is? When I ask those questions, I want you to feel what sensations are present inside of you. I know, for example, when I would watch other people give webinars and to share their passions and help others, I felt this almost jealousy type envy feeling because I knew that I wanted to do that, but I was holding myself back. Or if I wanted to sing and I would see other singers, I would think to myself, why aren't I doing that? So when it comes to your voice and your creativity, your expression, what sensations are present inside of you? Is there anything that you do feel is blocking you? Is it insecurity? Is it fear of being rejected? Just maybe feel into that now and ask yourself, what guided you to listen to this webinar? What touches you in your deepest places? Because often there is this voice, this really calm, subtle voice inside of us that stirs our spirit into action. And your voice is completely unique to you. And no one else sees from your existence. And each of us has a story. Each of us has a journey in this life. And we all contain key codes for each other. So it's so important to spend time with yourself and to figure these things out and see where your energy moves you towards. Where are your passions? So I just want to say that in my eyes, we are all artists in all forms, colors, and expressions. And what I mean by that is every day we get to decide how we paint our canvas, and we get to pick up the colors, and we get to decide with our choices, with our actions, what that canvas is going to look like. And so I'm going from a wider perspective when I'm talking about being an artist, because we get to decide how our lives unfold, and when we're ready for certain things, and when we want to push out of our comfort zone. We are the ones who choose when we're ready. And in order to really choose a life of artistry that you really love, I think it's really important that you get to know who you are underneath the coping mechanisms, underneath the identities that you might have taken on, the roles that society has given you. It's really important to spend some time by yourself and to let go of things that just no longer, maybe they're just past versions of yourself, and to really figure out what drives you, what ignites you, what could you, if money was no object and you could just live a life of your own making, what would it look like? Because I've come to know over the past few years that we all do need some sort of purpose, some sort of passion to really dedicate ourselves to, because without it, we just feel kind of lost. That's how I felt anyways for many years. I felt I didn't have a direction or a drive. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Then when I really spent time with myself and looked at the things that I feel excited about, that I want to move forward with, it's like, okay, I don't know the exact trajectory, but at least I know these are the things right now that light me up. And they always can change. What I liked 10 years ago is completely different to what I like now. So you want to look at your emotions and your belief systems, your cultural upbringing, your societal upbringing, because they can really shape and influence us also. And perhaps some of the things that you thought you actually wanted to do was just programming from maybe your mother or your father or someone in the family system who said, oh, you should really do that. But underneath, you wanted to be an artist, you wanted to be a musician, you wanted to be an amazing gardener, It's like those things that we loved, especially as children. If you ask the question, what do you want to be when you grew up? You always had an answer, So it's those things that as we grew up, we got told, oh, artists don't make money. You can't survive as a musician. If you're going to be an actress, you need to get 5 jobs to support that. It's all these kinds of belief systems that were put into us through family, through film, through the media. So just spend some time and think about those things, and maybe do some journaling and prompt yourself to figure that out. And so we really need to just connect to our wholeness, and spending that time alone, you do begin that journey feeling fully complete and just whole within yourself, and nurturing yourself as maybe the parent figure that you didn't have, or nurturing the inner child to allow her or him to express themselves in ways that maybe they felt they hadn't been able to at this point. So, like I said, what are the topics that drive you, to want to share things? For my own example, a lot of my art that I create is actually inspired by nature. I love being in the mountains. I love being by waterfalls, the trees, and you'll see this reflected in most of my art. I feel that there is a voice inside of me that speaks for nature and the elemental kingdom and the animals. And it's very kind of raw and primal. And so I bring that into my work, because for me, I want to remind people that we are a part of nature and nature is a part of us. It's not something separate from us. So that's one of my core themes, if you will, in my work. So you might have something different. Maybe you're just really inspired by animals, and animals are something that you really love, care deeply for, and you could bring that into your work, because that's part of your voice, is to maybe give them the voice and to show others that they're not separate from us, that they are beings with emotions and feelings. And how can you express that? Is it through story? Is it through art? Is it through even baking cakes in the shapes of animals? There's so many avenues that you could explore. So, some of my greatest work I found came in moments of utter crisis or despair, or sometimes absolute chaos. And in a way, I reflect on that and I realize that, in a sense, it was a coping mechanism when I was younger. When I was in stressful situations, I would just draw, I would create art. And it was a way of kind of calming and attuning my nervous system to cope with what was going on around me. But through that, I learned a lot of resilience. And it was also a way in which I could draw something and see the workings of my subconscious, or I would often feel like an emotion. And when I was younger, I wasn't really able to verbalize that very well. And so my way was to actually create a piece of art, and I would express that emotion. So if it was anger or sadness, my drawings always kind of reflected that. Um, and so these are like really big portals into our inner workings. I know I'm specifically talking about art in terms of creating art right now, not into other subjects or areas of art. But these are other things, to discern that artwork carries energy, it carries a frequency. And sometimes some art you might actually feel in your body, I don't quite like that, because you're really seeing into an artist's point of view in that moment in time. And sometimes there can be energies within that painting or within that piece of art that you can feel a sense that something doesn't feel open and expressive to you. So that's just a little side note, is to always kind of feel and use your senses as to whether certain art is actually the vibe that you really want to witness. So I experienced this like a few years ago. I went to a exhibition in Dublin, and it was around Easter time, and the theme was Christ, and they had some very old paintings going way back. And I remember just feeling there was one picture or painting in particular. It was huge, nearly the size of a house, and it had lots of archangels in and this kind of thing. And I remember starting to feel really queasy. Um, and I put it down to just being overwhelmed because I was in the big city. And but now I reflect on it and I'm like, that started when I was looking at some of these paintings because they hold so much within them. And yeah, you get to choose and feel if something is right for you. So I just wanted to say that too. So even in moments of self doubt, I still shared my story. Even in the times when I felt so insecure, so panicked. I remember my first exhibition and I thought, and it wasn't till really late when I had to give this presentation. I think it was maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And all day I'd been going over what I wanted to say and how I was going to present everything. And I felt so nervous. I can't tell you how nervous I felt. I had such a dry mouth. My heart was pounding, and I was just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I did it. At that point in my life, I was really self-conscious and I didn't like everybody sort of looking at me, which is why I loved at the time doing sound baths, because you do your introduction and then everyone's just lying down and you can just play your instruments and no one's watching you. But yeah, so I'm in this exhibition space and everyone's looking to me and asking me questions. I had like a Q&A type thing. And the amazing thing about myself is that when I'm in the moment and I'm in the flow, I have amazing resilience to be able to just answer questions, command the space, but internally, I'm feeling so many fears. But despite all of that, I still have shared my story and I still continue to share my story. And I still advocate for everyone else to do that too in your own unique way. Like I said earlier, we all have unique key codes that are needed here in this world. And so if there's anything I'd love you to take away from today is that each of you has something in whatever form it comes through, but you are definitely needed. Your unique spark is needed here. So think about what your biggest roadblocks to owning your creativity are. Is it judgment? Is it rejection? Is it shame? Is it fear? And maybe if you have a journal handy or a notebook, if there's anything that's coming to mind now, I want you to just maybe write those things down. I know judgment was a big one for me, and rejection as well, because I often, when I was younger, felt rejected by the people around me for myself. I think that's one a lot of us face. And so it took a long time to unpack that and to step through those barriers for me personally. And even to come to the conclusion that if I do share my art and somebody doesn't like it, it's no reflection upon me or my artwork. Art is very interpretational. I see some of the greatest, finest painters I've ever been told about, and I look at their work and I just think, no, like, I don't see any like, it's not to say I don't see any value in it. Obviously, everyone has their own unique take, but for me personally, I would not hang that on my walls. Like, it's just not for me. Same with music, took me a long time to like jazz, and I still don't really I like bits of jazz, but not all of it. So everyone has their own sort of interpretation, and if your artwork isn't received in a way that you know in your heart how it makes you feel. When you created that, you are proud of it. And again, I'm not just referring to if you're painting or whatever. This could be perhaps you did some marketing on Instagram and you really loved that post you made, yet maybe two people liked it. It's no reflection upon the love that you put into that creation. And so the thing is, for me, it's like if it's coming from the heart and it's your unique voice or your way of seeing things, that's great. That's it. And I know we have to deal with sometimes the feeling of maybe disappointment that maybe it wasn't received in a certain way. But if you put your heart and soul into it, that's all you need. That's it. That's the medicine. So, some of the ways in which we can really attune ourselves to our inner artistry, to our inner creative juices, these are ways in which I have found deeper connection to myself and to my inner artist. So, one of the first ways is meditation and journeying. Now, I know meditation is not for everybody, and I still, at times, I have to really find that point of stillness and space within myself, but it is absolutely possible. But what works for me really well is adding journeying into it. So in a more maybe shamanic sense, putting on some music, maybe using my drum and getting into a rhythm and allowing my brain waves to just slow down, feeling into the rhythm of the drum, boom, boom, boom. And sometimes I stay there for an hour, sometimes it feels like longer than that, but I go on a journey, and I feel deeper spaces of myself. I have visual I have visual sight inside, which is one of my strongest gifts. Not everybody has it as strong. I know some more have clairaudience or they have more sensations in the body. Whatever works for you, but it's still, you can still try this and find inspiration within yourself by doing this process. Dance and movement, again, another huge one for me. Sometimes I put on some music, like a good playlist, and I'll just move my body. I'll just dance and my hands will be moving. I'm moving in all types of ways. And again, the visual side comes in for me because I have my eyes closed most of the time and I'll see things. I'll see shapes and colors and landscapes, um, different aspects of myself. And this is such, I mean, even in that, you're creating art, even if you did nothing else with it, you're still in that creative space through all of these things here. Whether then you take that inspiration and you put it onto something, into a story or into a painting, is up to you. Sometimes we might see something as well in our meditation and we might go out and recreate it. Could be you saw some flowers in a certain arrangement. Go and make that if you're into flower arranging. There's no limitation to this. Another one is free writing, which is not my go-to, but I think that's probably because I might block myself slightly. But free writing is essentially where you just get a piece of paper and you just start writing without thinking, almost. You're not thinking about, you might have maybe an intention of you want to create a story and you just free write whatever comes out, and you can look at that. And they say it's like removing the logic of your mind and just allowing your intuitive side to speak without the mind coming in and saying, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong. You want to just write as if that side of your mind is switched off. And in there, you can kind of decode, oh, okay, what's this? Okay, like I like this and this. You can see into the subconscious more. Another great way is using mandalas. And I've only just recently come to those because for a long time I put them off because I thought they were too precise, and I had this big thing of like feeling a bit of a perfectionist, and so I didn't like the idea that I might get really far through it and then I would mess it up. But that's the whole point. That is also a point of growing, that we do make mistakes in life and it's okay. So I persevered through mandalas recently, and I can tell you, out of all these things, I had the most focus, like laser sharp focus, presence. And I felt actually by the time I finished this creation, I'd been on a whole journey in itself. I really got deep into presence and flow through mandalas. So I really recommend them. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube, places like that will get you started. And then one of the next ones is neurographica. Now, I've only tried this a few times, but I can tell you I really felt things shifting in my experience just through those first initial attempts. Again, there are tutorials on YouTube. I know there's actual specific teachers out there that go through live practices with you to build these up. And there's slightly different ways that you can do it. But again, it's kind of like it's kind of putting on paper what your subconscious is actually doing or thinking underneath the waking mind. It can really get you deep in there. And one of the ones I did was like a tree with roots and the leaves above. And it was showing me in my sort of ancestry if my root was strong, if I was connected, if I was grounded. And I really saw some patterns in there that I was like, oh, right, okay, I didn't realize that this was here. So yeah, really, really cool technique. And again, brings you a lot of focus as well. So go and check those out also. And the next one is intentional mind mapping. And for someone like myself who writes stories, builds up characters and places and all these kinds of things, intentional mind mapping is a really cool one. So if you got a piece of paper and say, for example, I'm going to use that you're a writer and you're trying to create a new story, you set the intention on this piece of paper. So you might, how we have in brainstorming, you have like the little bubbles of things. So you might put in one characters, and you might put in the next one locations, and the next one you might put storylines, and the next one you might put events. So you just very quickly, like you go to characters, I'm going to put 68-year-old man, 9-year-old girl, events, someone goes missing, there's a wedding, and then you go to storylines. The little girl goes missing because she was looking for her dinosaur, Teddy. Another event, the old man finds a new wife after many years of searching online, blah, blah, blah. And so you create as many as you can possibly do, like really quickly. Again, it's kind of trying to get your logical mind out of the way. And then you look at this piece of paper and you say, maybe get a highlighter, and you're like, oh, I like this one. I like this one. And then suddenly you build up this picture. You can also feel in your body where your energy is moving towards which characters, which events. And suddenly now you've built up a story, and you can start writing with that. And you can also use this for creating paintings or artwork. Same thing, if you're not sure if you want to do landscapes or animals or portraits, you can do it for that as well. And the next one is a very fun one, but I want to say right off the top, this is body paint, okay? But always try and find really non-toxic body paints. Do not go sorry, I shouldn't say do not, but I would not put body paint on my body that was full of nasty chemicals. So if you can try and find like some organic, clean body paints, sometimes they come from natural things like vegetables and fruits. So, there's ways to find it. But this is a really cool one to work with your body a bit more. And there might be certain colors that you choose. So, for example, if you got pink and you put it on maybe your heart space, then maybe you're drawn to black and you put black on certain parts of your body. Well, what are those colors teaching you or telling you? If, for example, I use black and I put it on my tummy, I'd be like, I associate black with kind of more negative aspects. So, I know I had to do a lot of love on my own personal body. So if I was putting black there, I'd be like, I still have to work on, feeling happier with that space. And maybe if you put pink somewhere, what does that mean to you? Because you can really tune into your emotions and how you feel about yourself. And it's also a really fun way then in other ways to maybe get like a really big piece of canvas and put your body on it. See your outline, your shape, and play with that a little bit, because our body is our home, and this is what's here to be expressed. But again, I just want to say, please only go for organic, clean products. That's just my recommendation, of course. And yeah, have fun if you get to do that, because it's a very liberating experience. And the last one here I got is dramatic performance. I was a huge lover of drama when I was younger. I loved putting on somebody else's story and acting it out. And for me, I still do this in some ways, even with myself. It's a great way of expressing things maybe that you've been holding back, or if you had a conversation with someone a few days ago and you felt like something stopped you from saying something, you can reenact it and actually speak your truth and allow that energy to move through your body, because we don't want things stuck inside of us that need to be aired. Everything is energy, so if you hold something in, you're just holding it in your body and you want to express that. And if you can find places to do dramatic performance, so get involved in your local drama space if that's something that you feel inclined to do. There's lots of local theatrical groups, and it's a great way to feel into a more dramatic part of yourself, that maybe that's the area that you want to go into and express more and explore. So they're just some of the ones that I have used in my life. There are plenty of others, but they're the ones that I probably go to the most. Oh, I forgot to mention singing actually. When I sing sometimes, like, that really activates the creative juices, and that enables me to want to create something. So now we're just going to go into the guided meditation section of this webinar. And If you want to go and have a toilet break, you can obviously pause this video when you're watching it and go and get yourself comfortable. Maybe bring a blanket and find somewhere quiet that you won't be disturbed for the next 15 minutes or so. So this guided meditation is a place for us to meet our inner artist. So once you've found that quiet, comfortable space, just going to take this down a little bit now and feel a bit more connected to ourselves. I know I've been talking for a little while. And if you feel comfortable enough to close your eyes, you can. And if you don't, you can keep them open softly with your gaze down. And we're just going to take a nice deep breath in. And exhale slowly. Let your body soften with each breath, releasing any tension or distractions. Breathe in deeply, filling your lungs with fresh, nourishing air. Hold on for a moment and exhale, letting go of any doubts, any worries. And with each breath, feel yourself becoming more grounded, more present in this moment. Now I want you to imagine a warm light, a warm ball of energy that is in the center of your chest. This light represents your creative energy and the spark of your inner artist. And with every inhale, this light grows stronger, filling you with warmth, inspiration, joy. With every exhale, it expands outward. It expands outward now, radiating creativity and self-expression. In your mind's eye, picture yourself standing at the entrance of a beautiful, serene space. Could be a lush garden, an art studio, a peaceful shoreline, anywhere that feels safe and inspiring to you. This is the sanctuary of your inner artist. Step forward, feeling the ground beneath you, embracing the atmosphere of this sacred space. As you walk inside, take a moment to observe your surroundings. What colors do you see? What textures? What scents or sounds fill the air? Notice how everything in this place exists to nourish and support your creativity. Now, in this space, you notice a figure approaching. This is your inner artist, the part of you that creates freely and fearlessly. Observe them closely. How do they look? What energy do they carry? What are they wearing? Your inner artist smiles at you, radiating warmth and recognition. They reach out to you, offering you a gift. This gift may be a symbol, a word, an image, something deeply personal and meaningful to your creative journey. Accept it with gratitude and take this moment to explore its significance. You and your inner artist sit together in this space. And if you have any questions, now you can ask them. If there's something you wish to share, now you can. Listen to any words of wisdom they offer. This is a moment of connection, of deep understanding between you and your creative self. As you absorb this experience, feel a new sense of confidence and inspiration growing within you. Your inner artist is always here, ready to guide and support you whenever you need them. Now we're going to say goodbye. Slowly, we begin to bring our awareness back to our breath. Feel your body resting where you are. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, reconnecting with the present moment. Take one last deep breath in and exhale slowly. Another deep breath in and exhale slowly. One more deep breath in and let go. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes, bringing that renewed creative energy with you into the world. So now that you had that connection, there might be things that were stirred, the messages that you received, the symbol or the code or the gift, whatever it was. Now I would like you to grab your pens and papers, your journals, and to write a short letter to your inner artist. And what is it that you want to say to them? As this is recorded, you can obviously pause this video and spend as much time as you need writing this letter. But it's really, important for you to express whatever came up and whatever it is you want to share with them now. So please do that. And if you pause the video and you've written your letter, these are just some questions just before we end here to reflect upon everything that you've heard today, the connection you had in your meditation and the letter you wrote. What does your inner artist's story reveal about how you view creativity? What would happen if your inner artist was free, bold, and courageous? And what is one small way you can nurture this connection daily? Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to those who are tuning into the replay and rewatching it later. I have been Siobhan from the Wild Dandelion Studio, and you can contact me via my website or Instagram on Wild Dandelion Studio. And yeah, my services and anything else is up there. And you have further information. I'll also be popping this video onto YouTube as well. So there's plenty of places to access this. And I truly wish you a beautiful journey to your artistry, to your mastery. And if I can support your journey as we're all here together, feel free to connect and reach out. And keep going. Keep pushing through your comfort zone and keep following that dream, that vision, that goal, whatever it is, however it is, and you'll find the right connections, the right people that support that. And we all walk each other home on this path, on this journey of life. And yeah, tune into your inner spark. Thank you all so much. Much love from me.